everyone. I'm Yadires Nova Salcedo. So glad to have you with us. Immigration continues to be one of the hottest topics of debate at the local, state, and national levels. And with President Trump issuing the latest deportation raids today on Centro, we want to do a special segment talking about some of the most important immigration issues that are being discussed right now here in Boston, in Massachusetts, and the rest of the country. To help us do that, with us this morning is Joel Rivera, Field Director for the nonprofit, nonpartisan organization, the MIRA Coalition. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning.
Joel or Joel? Either
Joel.
way, Joel in Spanish. Joel. Joel, thank you so much for coming by. There is so much going on with immigration. Let's start with the raids.
Okay.
What's happening?
Yeah, so the Trump administration wanted to target a number of communities that had where people had prior deportation orders. And those cities did not include any in Massachusetts. They were targeting New York, Miami, Houston, LA, places like that. So they were not targeting Massachusetts or any of the cities in Massachusetts.
At that given time, they weren't.
Correct.
Does that mean that they could be in the future?
Yes, certainly. I mean, there are people in Massachusetts with prior deportation orders, which is what they say they're going after. Deportations are happening all the time, and they're happening all the time in our community. They may not be happening as raids, per se, though.
The first weekend that President Trump said we're going to be doing these raids, so many people got ready. It didn't happen.
Yes.
Last weekend, it did happen. What do you guys think that's going to be happening even this weekend coming up now?
Yeah. So the thing is, people are always, people who are in uncertain legal status are always going to be fearing for deportation, right? So we always want people to be prepared, whether there's a big raid coming in, and this has been happening since before this administration. So we always want people to know their rights, to don't open the door, don't talk to anybody you don't know, don't sign anything if you don't understand what's going on, and that they're also making a plan for their family, right? In case, worst case scenario, that they are prepared and that they're
Yes, and the city of Boston, though, the mayor and the city of Boston are basically saying if there are raids, they're not going to be helping the federal authorities?
Correct, yeah. So Boston is a sanctuary city. What cities and also states can do is say, we don't want to cooperate with federal.
Exactly. That's exactly what that means, right? That they're not going to go out of their way to help federal authorities?
Correct, yes. We're not going to help them enforce federal immigration law.
Okay. So thank you for clearing that up. Let's talk about the census, this one citizenship question that the president was trying to get onto the census. That is not happening, I understand.
No, it's not. So we won. The Supreme Court said that we shouldn't put the question on the census. People were afraid that Trump was going to try one last sort of backdoor avenue, but he chose not to. So we won. No citizenship question on the census.
I think that people who are watching, they might have the question, the fact that now they're trying to make the census digital, and does that mean that he can wait until the very last minute to put it in there? Is that a possibility?
I don't think so. You never know with this administration, but I know they have begun creating and printing the questionnaire without the citizenship question. You're correct. It is mostly online, which is a huge change this year from years past.
Yes.
And that's why we want to make sure that we're tapping into local resources like public libraries and community-based organizations to make sure that our folks are going there to get the help they need.
And what's going to be happening also when people, if they don't have a computer, if they don't have a way to fill it out digitally?
Yeah, so if they don't, as I was saying, I think that we're really trying to tap into the resources that we have, like public libraries, like local community-based organizations, for folks to come to those places so that they can fill it out online.
Yes.
It also, they'll try to get you to fill it out online many times, but sort of in the later period, they will send a paper questionnaire in the mail, but they're trying to avoid that.
Okay, so there are a lot of immigration issues, obviously, that we could be talking about. We talked about the raids, we talked about the census question, and then also the situation with the border and the people who are being detained. What do you think about the whole thing?
Yeah, so I think it's disgusting. They have kids, they have minors trapped in cages with no running water, no medical supplies. It's really just like a gross human rights violation. We think that they should let those folks go. They should close the camps. They should process those folks who are applying for asylum and other kinds of immigration relief. And I also want to urge people to get involved locally, right? Families are being detained and separated here. in Massachusetts, and that's why we need statewide legislation, right? Like we need the Safe Communities Act, we need driver's licenses for all, because these are the ways that people wind up in the deportation pipeline.
I am guessing that in a couple of months, I'll have you guys back talking about these issues. This is something that's not going to go away soon. Thank you so much for coming by and giving us important update about immigration. I mean, it is just, there's so much going on. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joel. For the latest information on the different topics discussed today, you can call 617-350-5480. You can also get a direct link to the Mira Coalition website and their social media pages, visiting us online at cbsboston.com/Centro. There you can get more information on today's show and our past shows. You can watch both the English and the Spanish versions of Centro. And we also want to invite you to connect with us on social media. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And that will do it for this week's Centro. I'm Yadires Nova Salcedo, inviting you to step forward to a better you. See you next week.
All right,